Greetings, and welcome to the Whispers of Wellness. I am your host, Coach Charlene, and welcome to my All Things Wellbeing show. And I wanted to pick up on my part 2 of my new series that I started, and I really am talking about the cost of being an authentic leader. It does come with the cost. It does come with the price, and most people are not willing to pay the price to be their amazing, highest expression of themselves. And so I am going to start digging back into number 2. But before I do that, I want to share with you some statistics because it's important for us to ground things in statistics. A lot of the things that I talk about really come from a place of looking at gaps that are there and then trying to do something to help fill the gaps. I created the HEART framework, which is really a framework that really helps move from really transformation to transcendence, because I believe that we can get to a place where we are navigating those storms. I mean, the storms hit us, but we're able to keep our eye in the middle of the storm and come out better. And so look at some of these statistics. Again, I got to bring this back around. So physician burnout, nearly half, or 48% of U.S. physicians report experiencing burnout, with higher rates among women physicians. So for joy and satisfaction and meaning, healthcare workers find the most satisfaction in relationships and interactions with their patients. So 72% of us do it because we love taking care of patients. And colleagues, 67%. Relationships with managers or supervisors also contribute significantly to job fulfillment, and that percentage was only 56%. Let's talk about turnover and retention. The intent to leave. This is really interesting. So as of 2023, 28.7% of healthcare workers and 41% of nurses indicated intentions to leave their job within 2 years. So that was in 2023. So I wonder, did that actually come to pass? I'm going to have to look that up for you. For hospital turnover rates in 2024, the National Acute Care Hospital turnover rate decreased to 18.3%, which is down from 2.4% from the previous year. However, despite this decrease, turnover rates will still remain high, with variations depending on hospital size and location. So one more. What about joy and engagement at work? Employees who enjoy their work are 49% less likely to consider taking a new job compared to those who do not find joy in their work. This underscores the importance of fostering a positive work environment to enhance retention. And we know the rates of incivility that have come along, especially during post-pandemic phase. So a lot of work here still to be done. So I'm just encouraging everyone that's out there trying to help with this, with the care team's well-being or the workplace incivility, whatever it is, keep on doing what you're doing, because if we all are compelled to help our care teams, our organizations, then hopefully it'll shift something. Because remember that quote I said, one voice at the right pitch can create an avalanche. That's by Diana Hardy. And I really, truly believe that if you can find your voice, if you can find the thing that you were supposed to be doing, your purpose in all of this, and then do that, then we will be getting a little bit closer to getting our teams what they need. So let's talk about part 2. So episode number 2 is the cost of consistency. You don't become someone others trust by showing up sometimes. Authenticity demands consistency. It is so critical for you to not be like one of those leaders that are, okay, sometimes I'm up, sometimes I'm down. You have to have a consistent front in your leadership style. Authentic leadership isn't a weekend workshop. It's a lifestyle. It's how you treat people in private and in public. It's how you handle setbacks, upsets, disappointments, and even delays. People follow what they feel from you, not just what they hear from you. See, we're always talking about, hey, they got to preach, they have to walk the walk. or practice what you're preaching. I always hear that all the time. And I truly believe that if I have said yes to leadership, then there is a responsibility that I've said yes to. So there's a cost to being consistent. I like one of the images Dr. Miles Monroe gives, and it's an image of a statue. And he said that character is the same thing as a statue. No matter the rain, sleet, snow, tornado, whatever it is, that statue is still going to be holding the same position that it had when it's sunny. And so I totally get that, because true leadership is your ability to navigate all of the different things, the storm, the tornado, the hurricane, and still remain your consistent brand. Not what you say you are, but what others say you are when you leave the room. How does your presence affect other people? Do you leave people feeling inspired? Do you leave people and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad they're gone? You know, what type of leader are you and do you want to be? And so that's why I said self-development, personal development is so critical, because how do you truly want to be remembered? And that's so important, because as I was leading, I was like, okay, I want my core values to be love and peace, or those were just attributes that I wanted people to say about me when I left the room. And so I cultivated that. I worked on that. I worked on that 24/7 so that I can be a better human being for my team. It takes time, it takes intention, and it takes self-awareness. Now, who doesn't want to be more self-aware? I know some people that really don't care to be, but I think it's so important for you to do a self-assessment of how you lead. Like, I don't even mind having people do 360s on me or give me feedback and things like that, because I think it's important for you to understand if you're really self-aware. And then if you're not self-aware, be okay with someone telling you, you know what, I noticed that you do A, B, and C. Like, I had a nurse one time, and she was like, you know what, I'm tired of everybody telling me that I'm not doing this and I'm not doing that. And so what the ultimate thing was like, okay, so if A is telling you this and B is telling you have a bad attitude and C is telling you that you have a bad attitude, you know, if you got like 5 people saying, hey, you need to check your attitude, maybe I need to start saying, maybe I better check myself and see what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Because like, if you're not self-aware, and I know you know people that are not, then they're not going to get it no matter how many people tell them. So they need to have that awakening for themselves. And I think that particular situation, once they recognized so many people were saying the same thing, they had to turn the mirror to themselves and then find out, okay, what is this? What's going on with me? And that gives us the responsibility to do the work. You must prioritize your own personal development so you can pour into others from a place of overflow. How many times have I said the word personal development? It is so important. I think it actually is a mandatory thing if you're going to be a leader. If I'm going to be a nurse, if I'm going to be anybody out there working with the public, I need to be my highest expression of myself, because you are going to be confronted with people that are nasty, that people that are negative, that people that may say the wrong thing. You will be confronted with that. So how do you handle it when you get in situations like that? That's why you have to make sure that your cup is full. You're coming to work and you've dealt with all of your anger issues and all of the healing that you need to make sure that you're at least on the process of being healed from all of your events or trauma that you've experienced in your life. Very, very important. I'm talking about spiritual growth. Some people need therapy, coaching, reflection, feedback, be open to it, and rest, of course. It's always important if you had a really rough day. You know what? Let me just go take a nap. Let me take a nap. Let me take my mind off of all the things, and so that I can move on. When you're leading others, you're also carrying their energy. And this is so important. And I love with heart math, one thing that I've learned is that you have to have intelligent energy management. And so I'm very careful about my energy. Like I told you guys on one of the other videos, I walk in undisturbed composure. So when I come in, I have a shield of undisturbed composure on me. And so when darts are coming in, I'm still having the challenges, but I'm not allowing them to infiltrate my shield. It's the same thing. You carry others' energy, so you have to be careful. So if you're in this woe is me spirit, guess what? You're not going to be able to help them to elevate at all, because you're now partnering, mirroring that what you see. So very important. If you're not full, you'll lead from depletion, not discernment. And it is important for us to have discernment as authentic leaders so that we can provide the things that our staff need. Here are some key points that I want you to take away. Your consistency will build your credibility, and credibility will build your trust. There's nothing like having a leader that you know has your back and that you know that you can trust. You can even trust with some of the things that you may not talk to anybody else about. That's a very rare find, to find a leader that you can do that with, but it is possible. I think that we can reach that as we consistently do the work on ourselves outside of work. Number 2, your well-being is part of your leadership reputation. And so I have to be honest, for a period of time, I was not taking care of myself, my well-being. The working long hours, just all of that, like you're constantly not taking care of yourself. And unfortunately, we do that a lot as nurses, nurse leaders, physicians, whoever is in management, where you can't necessarily put your phone down, or you feel like you can't. And so guess what? I had to start intentionally doing it, intentionally saying, okay, I'm going to go in at 6 o'clock this morning and I'm going to leave by 4 p.m. I just start like shrinking the hours. And, it's very interesting, because when you start taking care of yourself, then you have people that want to say, well, I can't believe she just left. Hey, I'm taking care of me. And so that's why I said in the last video, you have to be okay with being alone. When you finally get to a place where you're like, okay, I'm going to take care of me, I'm going to prioritize my well-being, and you start doing it, there's going to be other voices that are going to make it feel like you're doing something wrong. And so I really wanted to point that out, because you have to stick to what you need. And that was what I needed. I start saying, I got to get out of here. This work is going to be here tomorrow. I will come back tomorrow and jump back in and give my all. So very, very important. And the last point I want you to see is that you can't fake wholeness. People feel when you're not okay. You can come in with a smile, you can come in saying the right words, but people feel energy, they feel your energy. And so that's why it's so important for you to handle your situations prior to, or learn tools like heart math so that you can do entries on the go when you're dealing with something very challenging, or a quick breath work, a quick coherence, or whatever it is that you decide to use. Because just like this says right here, you can't fake wholeness. I mean, people, staff can smell it a mile away. I remember as I was leaving, there would be someone that's, really struggling. And then the staff would come and say, you know what, that's really fake. Like they didn't even get a chance to say anything. And I was like, you know what, you got to give people a chance, because we all are growing. We all are working on ourselves to be better human beings. But as a leader, I encourage you to make sure that you are whole. Now, you may be in process, you may be in therapy, you may be doing some of the work, but your intention should be, let me find out more about me. Let me see how I lead. How do I lead in crisis? How do I lead when I have conflict? How do I lead when people don't agree with me? How do I lead when I feel all alone? Those are the self-reflective questions that you need to do for yourself. And here's my reflection for you, your prompt that I want you to write about. Where in your leadership have you been inconsistent, especially with your values? And what is it costing you? I want you to really write that down. So where have you been inconsistent? Because you really want to be the brand. I talked about the brand, and I think I have mentioned this before. Your brand is so critical, because that's how you build trust, your reputation. And so I don't want a reputation of, okay, here comes Charlene. She's like a tornado. Whose head is she going after today? You see what I'm saying? Which would never be me. That even felt horrible to say that, but you want to make sure that you're the type of leader that presence is preceding you. When people see me, I want them to feel that presence of peace, the presence of love, the invitation of being welcoming and open no matter who you are, right? So very, very important. So make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Whispers of Wellness. Also, I'm building a community in Substack where I will begin to start doing subscriptions. There will be still free subscriptions, but I am going to have a level up where I'll be doing live videos and just a lot of more engagement because I'll have a much more manageable group there. And I want to make a lot of personal connections. So make sure you subscribe. I'll put the link down here so you can get the newsletters and the information that I'm doing. And remember, wellness, well-being starts within. We are tackling this from the inside out because when we can get the inside intact, the outside is going to flow naturally. Thank you so much for listening.